How's it going, guys? It's your boy, Blu-rayDave, back with another Star Wars movie review. It's been a good 2 months since the first one, right, guys? I apologize in advance. It's just been a crazy 2 months. For sure, just been busy with work and things in my personal life, and I had a pretty decent birthday yesterday, so thank you guys for the birthday wishes. Again, if you guys follow my Instagram, real Blu-rayDave, um, more reviews will be coming out pretty soon. Just gotta plan them out, of course. So today, yes, we're overdue with the second one, and you guys know where I'm going with this one. I'm going to be talking about my personal opinion slash review of Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. Yep, this is actually the very first prequel movie that got me into the prequels. Jeez. Again, I don't know why. It's just growing up when me and my family we would watch movies, right? And like we weren't really that committed into like like big franchises, right? So sometimes in general we will watch movies out of or like we will start with the sequels of anything, right? And just like with Phantom Menace, guys, I have the VHS version, the DVD version, and just what you saw, the 4K version. Yep. Oh man. Every time I go into this movie, pure nostalgia, guys. Like, again, I'm happy, still happy to hear this day that the prequels, like, I'm not going to stop talking about this, I'm happy to hear that the prequels still to this day have more love and recognition for all the right reasons, guys. Yep. And yes, Attack of the Clones does count as a romance movie. So for any of you couples out there looking for a good romance movie, go with episode 2. Yep. Oh man. I believe it was early 2011, as usual, going to the library, and the VHS version of Attack of the Clones is what I saw. And I was just in pure joy, like pure awe with this movie, like just oh my gosh. And oh man, Jango Fett, like he's pretty cool. I thought he was Boba, but we get to find out about Boba's origin in this movie, right? Um, man, I thought Hayden Christensen was decent in this movie. I didn't really like his Padawan form in this one until like in Kenobi, we get one episode like of a flashback of Hayden in his Attack of the Clones form, right? And it made me appreciate his character like that more. And you guys know I have the Kenner action figure of Padawan Anakin. Oh man, what else? Funnily enough, guys, Hayden was cast as Anakin at age 19. And Anakin was, like, already 19 in this movie. Like, coincidence? I think not. And, oh my gosh. I was trying to figure out Anakin's age throughout the Clone Wars, right? So apparently in Ahsoka, in the recent episodes, in the Clone Wars flashbacks, like, apparently Anakin was also 19 when he got to train Ahsoka. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, how did he grow his hair that long, that fast? Like, what are Coruscant's sons like? Like, do they make Anakin's hair grow faster? Who knows? And of course, Obi-Wan sporting the mullet. I gotta say though, guys, he was also okay with the mullet in this one, but like again in the Kenobi series when they brought it back, I thought he actually rocked it 10 times better in that series. And in Tales of the Jedi, apparently in the Clone Wars era, Obi-Wan still had the long hair. So again, Coruscant's sons, what are you doing to the Jedi, huh? But like I'm pretty sure when we eventually get a season 2 of Tales of the Jedi, hopefully we'll get more context, more depth into that. Either way, And I'm pretty sure with the Kenobi series, we all should have expected Obi-Wan to grow some sort of longer hair, so, oh well. Um, and Attack of the Clones, like, this is the first time that we actually get to see CGI Yoda. Like, if you guys go into Phantom Menace and you say, like, wait a minute, like, CGI Yoda shows up in episode 1, like, well, with your first time viewing, yes, but you gotta do your research. You gotta know your history with the prequels. Um, like, the versions you're watching of the Phantom Menace, you're seeing CGI Yoda for the first time, is the Blu-ray, re-releases, right? The CGI Yoda's first appearance is in Attack of the Clones. Because you gotta remember, in the original theatrical release of number 1, Yoda was a puppet. Yeah. Frank Oz coming back to voice Yoda, just, again, just, mwah, like, you gotta have him as Yoda. Let's see. And, of course, Sam Jackson coming back as, Mace Windu, that awesome mofo coming back, like, during, you guys should know your Star Wars history with this one, during the behind the scenes, like, Jackson requested George to, have a purple lightsaber, and I'm happy that George realized, like, with Jedi's lightsaber colors, they don't have to be just blue and green, like, they could be, well, besides red, they could be any color. Like, Ahsoka's 2 lightsabers, one of them was yellow when she got the second lightsaber. Man. Yeah, like, I just loved with the battle, like the final battle with Yoda and Count Dooku, like, oh my gosh. Like, like, we all dreamed what Yoda would look like as a full-time Jedi, and, like, how he would handle the lightsaber, like, oh my gosh. You gotta remember, he's a little guy, but he could, like, jump and bounce around, like, crazy, stupid fast. Like, oh my gosh, it's the funniest thing in the world. And when he's, like, screaming and all that. Oh, man. Let's go back to Jango Fett. Like, yeah, Jango Fett, I think he immediately became my new favorite bounty hunter just because, like, oh my gosh, he was like, oh my gosh, to find out that he's the original host and let's just say a co-creator of the clones, like, gosh, I would love to see a Clone Wars version of Jango Fett. Yeah, like, sure, in the Clone Wars, we could all, like, we're already seeing Jango's face, like, on every clone, right? But, like, we can imagine what he would look like, Like, I feel like, if Boba could get a series, I think Jango Fett deserves a series, Like, we really need to know, like, the origins of Jango Fett on paper, if that makes sense. I've not read any of the books or any comics whatsoever that he's been featured in. And the fact that, oh my gosh, the lore behind the clones is, like, I'm happy in the Clone Wars Season 6, they go really deep into that. Okay, so we know that Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, they should really introduce him in live action. Like, he was the one that requested for the Republic to have a clone army, but of course, like, the Senate and the Council, they didn't approve, so he went behind their backs because, for a good reason, because he pretty much sensed something that there was going, like, something wrong in the Senate, right? And of course, with the Republic itself. Goes to Camino. Again, they don't really show it here, but I'm just trying to explain as much of the backstory as we know as Star Wars fans, right? Goes to the Kaminoans, like, talks to Tanwi, right? Or, no, not Tanwi, Lama Su, who's the Prime Minister, right? And apparently, Dooku, who was already working with Sidious the 10 years before, requested to have him hunted down, right? I believe it was Dooku himself that hunted him down, right? And then that's when Dooku went to Mandalore and found Jango and asked him to be, like, the host of the clones, and Jango agreed, and from what they've told us in the movie, though, yes, Jango's one request is to have an unaltered clone, comes in Boba Fett. Because on Camino, I love how they alter their growth. Like they can make them grow faster, right? So on a technicality, the clones would be like a few months old but in adult form. And if you guys know about Rex's genetics, right? His aging goes by super fast. That's why, in the Clone Wars he appears a lot older, And then in Rebels, I believe that like he's in his early 20s, I believe. But he's just looking like Santa Claus in Rebels, right? So yeah, I love the clones' origin, guys. Like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. And again, to see young Boba Fett at age 10, like, oh my gosh. Like, ever since the original trilogy, I've always wanted to know about Boba's background, so we got it. Of course, I love Anakin and Padme's, love story, their chemistry in this movie. Like, I know some people find it over the top, but I think we all know that George knew what he was doing, and like the memes that come out of this movie too. Like, oh my gosh, there's this one scene in particular. You guys should know this. It became a meme in the last year, and still to this day, I'm seeing a lot of those memes. Oh man, pretty funny. But yeah, Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, like, oh my gosh, like, I loved how, if any of you guys watch Star Wars Theory, I loved his take on Dooku, like, like, yes, technically Count Dooku is a good guy, but he just has better morals and understanding and principles, like, better than what the Jedi have, right? And again, I love in Tales of the Jedi, like, I just love seeing like a younger Count Dooku and like him training Qui-Gon. Like, we need a Tales of the Jedi episode of Yoda training Dooku, right? And this is when we know that Dooku, well, again, in this film he's known as Darth Tyrannus, right? But like in Tales of the Jedi, that's when we know the origins when he got his name like that. But yeah, rest in peace to Christopher Lee. I'm convinced. I haven't researched this, but I'm pretty convinced now that the Clone Wars movie was his last film appearance. Like, you know what? I guess what a great way to end off your movie career is by voicing Dooku. And it's funny, guys, I don't want to leave this out. Think of the name Count. Think of another movie that Christopher Lee was in. With Peter Cushing, right? Christopher Lee was Count Dracula himself, henceforth Count Dooku. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know if I want to watch that movie now. But yeah, it's just something funny to think about, guys. Guys, I cannot stress enough about Anakin Padme's love theme in this one, Across the Stars. Like, it is perfect. One day when I do get married, guys, like for my wedding, like I will not tell my future bride what song we'll be using for her to walk down the aisle. Like, as soon as like she comes down the aisle, I want my wedding to play that song, Across the Stars. Like, oh man. See? Like, Star Wars fans can use Star Wars soundtracks in their weddings too, You don't have to go with the old, crappy, traditional way. But then again, mature people are weenies, so that's that. That's the end result. I loved how Anakin went on his killing spree on the Sand People. To to avenge his mother's death. Remember, guys, he didn't kill just the men, but the women and the children, too. I remember pulling that line onto my therapist months ago, and he definitely enjoyed that for sure. Oh, man. Oh, man. I love that we got to see a younger Owen Lars and Beru Lars. Well, at this point, they're like boyfriend and girlfriend. They're not really married yet. And even as a kid, I've always wondered, like, they're young now, but how did they get, like, super old in number 4? But then again, because Tatooine has 2 sons, they made both Owen and Beru Lars and Obi-Wan much older in the last 19 years. You know? You gotta think about that. Like, Luke Skywalker was 19 in number 4, and he was already a baby in number 3. And 3PO, he finally got his shellings. Like, oh my gosh. Cliegg Lars, the father of Owen, like, I thought he was a pretty interesting character. Maybe we could get another little backstory on him, like, just something in an episode form, not in a movie form, like, again, maybe something for Tales of the Jedi, like, get him involved. I don't know. What else? I like the droid factory. That was pretty cool. But that's not the definitive origin of where the battle droids come from. That's for the Geonosian battle droids, right? Hi, bud. What else? And the Geonosian arena, like, I thought that was super cool. Like, I loved how Anakin was calming down that one beast, you know, and, like, made allies with him. I love it every time when Newt Gunray says something, my dad just makes fun of him, like, she can't do that, shoot her, or something. Jungle, finish her off. Because he's just gotten so ridiculous in the last decade, right? In the Star Wars lore, of course. And then, of course, our favorite mofo comes in. Lightsaber out to Jango Fett, and then he says, this party's over. And I'm happy that in Tales of the Jedi, they got to explore more of that, of Windu and Dooku's friendship back in the day before Mace was put on the council, right? And, yeah, I can see why Dooku was a lot better than Mace, because, you know, Mace, he pretty much stabbed Dooku in the back, you know, because he wasn't put on the council, because he had a better understanding, and Mace was just delusional, right? Oh man, and you get all the Jedi from the temple to fight all the Geonosian warriors and the battle droids, and who comes in to save the day? Yoda and the clones. Yep. And this is our only time we caught Yoda saying a normal line later on in the battle, like concentrate all your fire on the nearest starship. Like, oh my gosh, like, I'm pretty sure that one clone commander was impressed. Like, if he's heard Yoda talk backwards, you know. In Rebels, it's confirmed that Rex was in the Battle of Geonosis. But no, Rex is nowhere to be seen. So again, can we get some sort of like Tales of the Jedi episode with Rex in there? What else? If you guys ever get into the Clone Wars, if you're new, there is going to be a Battle of Geonosis 2. Yep. It'd be nice to get in the live action form. Well, with the Clone Wars movie trilogy that's coming out that Dave Filoni just announced after the Ahsoka series, like, oh my gosh, our first movie we're going to get of the trilogy is going to be in 2027. Oh, these stupid notifications. Go away, please. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Anakin and Obi-Wan's duel with Dooku, like, seeing this for the first time is pretty cool. And, I love when Dooku takes out the power, right? And then you see, like, a blue side and a red side, right? Like the lightsabers. I love how on Anakin's face, like, the red and the blue, it's like pretty much representing and foreshadowing who Anakin is going to be. Which, by the way, guys, I want to bring this up. Before these releases came out, like the Blu-rays of these came out, right? The images that we saw for like Attack of the Clones, the funny thing that people were complaining about was that Anakin's lightsaber was red. And I'm thinking, like, that makes sense because this cover would foreshadow who Anakin will turn out to be. And then Disney was like, let's change it back to blue. Like, come on, guys. Are you just going to complain about a small thing like that? Like, wouldn't you want that for a poster for Anakin, like his lightsaber being red? Like, I'm happy how they represented that in one of the Ahsoka episodes. You lack conviction, right? And of course, this is the origins of where Anakin's arm gets cut off, and then like again with the Yoda versus Dooku fight. Like, oh man. Now for the Blu-ray release for Attack of the Clones, I did not like this one change. They, after the duel was done, they reshuffled some scenes and like the score was like out of balance, right? So like that change was so unnecessary. Like there were some changes in this movie that were super good, but the last one, no, you don't do that. That scene was fine on how it is. And of course we know Palpatine's plan with the Clone Wars. Like, he illustrated it from both sides from the beginning, both as, you know, Palpatine and the Emperor. It was all just a big distraction, like for politics, right? And like, of course he wanted Anakin to become more powerful, and of course the chips. Of course they don't say anything about the chips in this movie, but again, the Clone Wars season 6. Dooku and Sidious asked the Prime Minister of Kamino to put the chips in the clones, so when the time was right, Order 66 would happen, right? So, and in my brain, I thought the clones were pretending to be good, but I'm happy that my answers, like my questions got answered with the Clone Wars, right? So like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. This makes a lot more sense, really. And of course, the Imperial March theme over the clones, like when the Clone Wars is beginning, like, oh my gosh. Or, it has begun, really. Begun. The Clone War has. But at the very end, Anakin and Padme's private wedding on Naboo, and the only two witnesses that we get there is 3PO and R2 because they're droids, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned this in the Phantom Menace review, but I do have the soundtrack for this movie too. Yeah, the music is great. And do you guys want to buy some death sticks? I thought so. You don't want to sell me death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life. Jedi business, go back to your drinks. Yeah, I feel like Anakin's Padawan form could be also redeemed. Like, I read one of the books when he was growing up being a Padawan. I do feel like either they could do this in Tales of the Jedi or a separate series. Don't do this as a movie. Make a Anakin, like, Padawan series where maybe one episode could focus, like, this could be like a 10-episode series, right? Think about it. Each episode could focus on one age of Anakin growing up, like, trained to be a Jedi, and leading up to Attack of the Clones. And maybe that could lead us to that one scene from Kenobi, right? Your weapon's gone. It's over. Like, every time Hayden smiles, it's just like, my boy, my dude, you're the reason why I want to cosplay like you, and you are Star Wars, okay? Both Balin Levine and I say that, alright? Like, Hayden is the reason Star Wars it is why it is. Like, oh my gosh. I'm happy that he gets the recognition that he deserves, okay? I know that there's still some Hayden haters out there, like, to those people, piss off. You're irrelevant to me. And to everyone else in the Star Wars community, so that means you're not a true fan. Okay, so, back the frick off. So what would I give this movie a rating? Gosh. Again, there's so many good moments in this movie. I'd probably give this movie a solid 8 out of 10. Just because, again, this played a very important part in my childhood. Like, again, Star Wars in general has. It's just something about this movie, you know, like, I think it's pretty funny in the prequel era, like, numbers 1 and 2 are PG. Like, I don't know, maybe George could have made them PG-13, but, like, at least maybe Revenge of the Sith should have been PG, right? So yeah, that was pretty much my movie review of Attack of the Clones. Thank you guys for listening in. What do you guys think of Attack of the Clones? I was looking forward to this movie having a 3D release back in 2013, right? Like, in the cereal boxes, right? Like, they were giving out Star Wars pens, and I have, like, 3 of those. Like, I'll make sure to show them in a future video. Or, like, in the next monthly check-in with you guys, right? Because that episode is supposed to be really important and pretty fun. Yeah. I want to stay consistent with these movie reviews, too. The next movie review I will talk about is the Clone Wars movie, because it is a real movie, like, it is a theatrical movie. We have to talk about it and review it, okay? I will talk about the 2 episodes that go along with it, so that would make the Clone Wars movie 2 hours, really. And that's something that we all desperately need. And again, that's something that Dave Filoni is working on with the next trilogy. That will be a better trilogy than the sequels. So that way we'll have the best trilogies in general. The original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and the Clone Wars trilogy. Yep. I want to make a separate video talking about that, though, guys. I talk about the Clone Wars like that. But in the meantime, just stay tuned for my Clone Wars movie review, alright? Alright, again, thanks so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Please send the post notification bell to share my content if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, bye. And may the Lord and may the Force be with you guys. Always love you guys. Peace out, guys.